All right, what's up, guys? I believe we should be live now. Welcome to the stream. This is AC017 Giant False Eye album breakdown stream. For anyone checking in or checking in later, probably at the archive, this is a technical breakdown of what is actually the only album on our labels. It's my third album, and it's my first album of pure hard breaks, hard music. No, not pure hard music, but I'd say my first example of a hard music. Was up to this point, pretty much everyone knows me for house and deep house, which is great. Obviously, I love that music. I make so much. I've had so much of it. But I also like other kinds of music, and I can't help but remember the feeling over the years of how people have always been like, "What, you like bass music? You know about bass music? No, you don't." And I'm like, "Yes, I do. I've been listening to drum and bass and making drum and bass since before some of you were allowed to even go in the club." So fucking when people try to say like, "Oh, you don't know about DMB," I'm like, "What?" Okay. But yeah, besides that, a few notes. This is my first stream, so as you can see, the OBS is up. I'm going to be tabbing in and out of different programs. I mean, I know there's a way to do shortcuts and you have controllers and stuff to make it all smooth, but this is my first stream. I'm a beginner streamer, so I'm just hoping I got the audio routed correctly. Excuse me, and the volume's right, and it sounds all good. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. So the first track, Counterfeit Detection Algorithm. It's not the title track. A lot of times on albums, the title track is the first track, but not me. For some reason, I don't do that. I don't know why. It's just the order of the tracks and the way the concept of the album plays out is more important to me. If the title track is not the first track, that's totally fine. And what I'm going to say immediately is a lot of this stuff is going to be very basic, very fundamental. I don't have any like secret techniques or like top secret, anything. All of this stuff is probably concepts and ideas that most experienced producers or even beginners have seen or can easily find on YouTube and other places on the internet. So we're going to start. So first is always going to be the drum track. Me, I always like to start. Basically, every song has a track where I program the drums. So on this track, that's the first one here, and it's usually the first one. That's very common. At the very top, I'll always have the drums. So, and again, that's just Ableton drum rack. Throw some samples in here from whatever sample packs. It doesn't matter. Me, I mix and match a lot of sample packs. I don't stick to one or two. And a lot of drum kits will have samples that are pulled from totally different sample packs, and you get this unique sound that you can't really be that can't really be replicated, which is awesome. I think what happens a lot in modern music production, a lot of producers use loops, and like that's fine. I'm not going to talk smack on loops, but like what ends up happening is you drop the loop in and you make a cool beat, but then another guy heard that same loop and dropped that same loop in, and now you got two beats that sound really alike. It's like, well, how could that be avoided if you make your own beat? So again, just simple programming here. I've programmed a lot of drums over the years, so programming these beats is really easy. If you get practice, it's fun, and you'll be able to make almost anything. If you've never heard of it, I really recommend this website called Attack Magazine. They have this section called Beats Dissected, where they give you Ableton breakdowns of different genres and how I want to make French house, I want to make minimal D&B, I want to make deep tech, and then they'll even provide you a sample pack that lets you mess around with it. So that's the drums. You can see just a simple EQ cut in the low mids. I do this cut very often. You see it like everywhere. Here's other examples of it. That's just to prevent muddiness. So yeah. And then we got a percussion here. What's that sound like? Just like a simple percussion. Low filtered out. It's got a filter here at some point. Let's look at that. So in this section, we have a filter kind of a sweep opening here. It's part of the song, obviously. And let's make a note here. So this here says auto filter legacy. That says that because the version of Ableton that this was made on is super old. So some of these songs, despite coming out last summer, they're super old. Like I'm pretty sure this is like around COVID or pre-COVID. I can't remember. But this is probably like 5 or 6 years old or more. That it has to have a note about the auto filters, a legacy version. It doesn't matter as long as you get it out. So next sample here, another percussion. Okay, so I remember this one. This is kind of like a jungle loop typed, or not typed, chopped up really short. And I remember when I was making this song and I was like, I want it to feel a little bit more jungly. Even though it is straight up a minimal text type song, I wanted to give that jungle darkness that I like very much. So I got a jungle sample and chopped it up a little bit. And then back here, got another sample. If you'll notice, this sample is only at the end of the track. So this is the whole beginning of the track. This is the last like quarter of the track or so. The last maybe third. And this is just an additional layer at the end to introduce a new layer to your brain. So it's like you've never heard that. So up to this whole point, you're hearing that. But at the end, this is introduced, but you never heard, and it's some more interesting for your brain, etc. I love this song. Roll and break. It's like really subtle to you without it. With it. And next section we have what's called filter drums. So on most of my tracks, at the drop, I'll usually filter the drums to build that tension, build that energy. It's a very common technique in basically all genres of dance music. So obviously I do that a lot. And it's just what I do is basically copy and paste the main elements that I want to use and make another separate group for them and then filter them separately of the main drums. That way the main drums are not affected when I'm doing all these effects and doing all this stuff. So here's just a simple drum pattern. Again, this is literally a clone of the main drums, literally copy paste, dropped in here into another group, and I'm going to filter that group. I also have a snare roll. A lot of times I'll program my own snare rolls. They're not hard to program. It's just you got to find something that you like. A tip that I do is I'll literally open up a record box and poke through a bunch of different songs in a genre that I'm making, and I'll be like, what does their snare roll sound like real quick? And I'll listen to a couple of them, and I'll be like, okay, that's what they sound like, and then I'll go dig one up for myself. So if you're ever not sure, like, oh, what sound should I use? Open up record box, go poke through a bunch of songs and be like, what did they do to achieve what I'm trying to achieve? And maybe you can get some ideas that way. And you can hear it slowly opening up. This is like the filter or whatever. Same thing, another percussion. It's like filtered down here. And it opens up. This is a very basic technique, just a filter sweep. This is like old 90s techniques that I'm still like repeating in 2026. I'm gonna be repeating forever. Let's listen to the song a little bit. This is one of the most evil songs I ever made. Let's get the effects on the drums real quick. So it's just some simple EQ, again, these low mid cuts. I got a drum bus on there, compressors on, the saturations on, see some of the adjustments. I might use Endless Smile. I'm not gonna mess with it because I don't want to mess with the project files. They're done, they're sealed. But this is an effect that builds tension and adds reverb and filters, kind of like when you do a drop, you do like a bunch of effects to build that tension. This does it with one knob. So if you do drops in your music or you do areas that build tension, I would recommend to look up this tool, Endless Smile, by Dada Life. They're the same guys that made Sausage Banner, which is also in here a bunch of times. We'll find it later in the bases. So I definitely use this often. And for reverb, I use ROM. This is a free reverb I got during like a Christmas plugin giveaway. Sounds great. Looks like I didn't set the delay time here. Whoops. But whatever. The track sounds good. And you can see it. There's nothing fancy. So my drum processing is some EQs, a drum bus, this effects thing, which is set to 0 for most of it, and reverb. And that's it. Cool. So we'll go to the basses now. So on this track, I have like kind of a respace as the main bass. I like respaces. They sound great. You can use them in lots of genres. Obviously, I use in jungle and drum and bass a lot. And me, I'm one of those guys that separates the bass tones into 2 layers just so they're easier to control. So here's like a low layer, right? Cool. And what is actually going on with this? This is just a Serum preset that I made. As you can see, there's not much to it. Sine wave. What is this? Like just a square, another sine for a sub, a simple filter, nothing to it. And then I have Roar, Ableton Roar here, which is one of the stock Ableton plugins. They have a preset called Bass Fattener, which I use that a lot as well. And it looks like I had a compressor and an ozone in here, but I didn't end up using them. They're turned off. And then here we go, some more low mid cuts. So me, I'm really big on trying to avoid muddiness in the low end. I want the tracks to have a loud, powerful low end. But you got to be careful with loud, powerful low end because that could often become muddy real quick. So that's why I have a million cuts on everything. So to try to avoid that. Next we have a whatchamacallit, a sidechain compressor. So just a stock Ableton compressor, sidechain to the kick. So for anyone that doesn't know what that means, this will listen to my kick drum, and every time the kick drum hits, it will lower the bass, the volume a little bit. It will duck it, so like there isn't all this bass hitting at the same time, and it sounds cleaner. So I actually did 2 of these. I did 2 of them. So sometimes you'll do that. And what else is here? So that's on the low end. On the high end, which is kind of like the growly side, you can see the processing is similar. It's just EQs, but because it's a different sound, I EQ different sections. And let's go into the actual preset. So here we have an actual preset from a sample pack, Black Octopus Sound, Charta, Serum presets, whatever, right? Let's talk about presets here, because some producers are really against using presets and they're all into sound design, and that's cool. But let me tell you something, brother. In the 90s, in the 80s, and the early 2000s, basically in the eras that defined all this music that we love, that we're keeping going to this day, they had a bunch of old machines that were super limited in their abilities. The technology was just super unsophisticated, and it was great for making music, but Ableton wipes out every single instrument combined from back then. Ableton by itself is better than all that. So what I like to always think about, and this is something that I learned early on, and I was like, wow, I can't believe it. But you always got to remember that all those old expensive synths and drum machines like Juno, 909, 727, MPC, just every synthesizer that you would ever want, the reason people wanted it is because of the presets it had. Okay, there was this one preset on this synth that everybody wanted, and ended up on all the deep house songs. There's this one preset on this synth that everybody wanted and ended up on all the jungle songs, and that's how it was, guys. So when you hear like this badass sound that you've heard a million times, it's very possible that it was a preset from an old synth and that you're listening to presets while hating on presets. So you can't really hate on presets because they were part of the game, you know? And granted, sound design is awesome, and you should definitely learn to use the synth and all that stuff. And I know how to use this stuff, so I don't really care when someone says, "Oh, you use presets." It doesn't bother me because I know what I'm doing. But I think that mindset where people look down on presets, that's not a thing because a lot of the songs that you love, know and love, are made using presets. So it's like whatever. But this is a preset from one sample pack, Idiomatic. Shout out my homie Idiom. And this was just the top layer of the Reese. So let's just push a little bit. And again, it's literally the same notes, copy pasted. I think a higher octave, and it's kind of I shaped it to go with the low there. And there's a lot of movement. Sounds cool. Alright guys, so then we'll go to the next one. So this is just a simple growl, and this what's going on here. Here we got another serum. I don't even know what this was. This was probably another preset. It's been erased now. But what's going on here is you'll see. Here's like the high notes. So it's quiet, nothing's playing, only the high notes. And the filter going on too. And then the low notes. And this is basically copy and paste of each other. But the reason I did this is because I found that sometimes when it comes to low end, low timbre type sounds, like bass sounds, a lot of times the notes higher on the octave will sound louder than notes lower on the octave. So like you'll play your melody, and then but the high notes will sound way louder than the low notes, and it doesn't match. It sounds off. Why does that sound so loud? And then it gets all quiet. So to remedy this, I separate sometimes the sections into two sections. This is just two notes in this melody, right? So like it's just two notes, so I separated it into two, and they have different volumes, like slightly, but it's just meant to correct that a little bit. And what effects were on that? So we have serum, we have OTT, which is that meme effect. Here it is. It's not a meme, it's real. People use it. Oh yeah, look, it actually changes the effect a lot. Listen to this. Oops, over here. See, that's not even close. That's like some donk bass sound. And then when you add the OTT, it becomes this like bass house growly sound. Right, like a wub. I don't know. I was like, oh, that sounds right, and I added it. That's funny. How did I even land on that? I don't know. Okay, so we'll go to the next section. Next is looks like the pad and stab elements. So let's go to the stab. So this is just the tech stab. This is one of the main parts of the song. This is probably like my favorite element of the song when it comes in so hard. Cool. So it's just a simple like short decay techie stab like that you could hear in almost any type of rave music. I wanted this to sound more ravey, so went for something like that. And it's funny, if you listen to the sound, it sounds like a tech stab, right? Very much like a tech stab. But like at the actual sample of this, look, check it out. It's like this, yeah, like this cinematic sort of like hall reverb. I don't know what to call this, but like I shortened it and pitched it up, or played a higher octave on the note, and and there's also like an actual old drum and bass pad, DNB pad. There's a sample name. And real quick, we missed the effects on this. So what's on here? Nothing. Delay. Delay and reverb. That's it. This is the stock Ableton delay. And this is, again, another example of ROM. I use that a lot because it sounds good to me. Looks like with this pad here. This is probably one of the last things I added. I remember I was like, oh, this song's done. I want to add a little pad to add some additional layer. So it was like this. And I was like, oh, I could use a little something. So, you know, add a pad. Whenever the song sounds like it needs something more, again, I always go back to that technique where go check out some songs in a similar genre and be like, what did my favorite artist do? And then you listen to a song, you're like, oh, they brought a pad in, oh, they brought a growl in, oh, they brought this in, oh, they dropped this out. And that gives you ideas without being a thief. Again, it's just a simple pad. It's filter. What's this? Leveling tool. It's just a compressor. And I made it mono with utility. Oh, it's got a tremolo on it. So that movement that you hear is from the tremolo. And I guess I went crazy with the EQs and ROM once again. Yeah, that bouncing. Wow. From the pad. That's the tremolo. There's actually a guitar effect. And this song's got a vocal, like most of them. It's got like a Jamaican Rasta vocal. It says F'd up the business. Talking about like, if I have opened my mouth because I'm an outspoken person and that's what I'm gonna do, and that ruins your whole life, that's your fault, brother. What were you doing? Because I'm not doing anything. And what's going on here? Simple EQ. Oh, a vocal doubler. So this is a free effect from Ozone, which basically lets you add layers and depth to a vocal or any sound really you want. Really easy with just a turn of a few knobs. So I use it often to make vocals sound bigger, wider, a little bit heavier. Some EQ, compressor, replica, delay. So if I'm not using Ableton, the stock Ableton one, which works fine, I like to use this one. I like to use this one a lot for dotted. In this case, it's not dotted, but I use it a lot for that. And you can see it's just the same vocal loop over and over, except this part. Do these little chops. We have another section here for the drop, where it's just different phrases to make it sound more interesting. And it has the same effects chain, but I think with more reverb. You see the reverb move there. Yeah, the reverb goes up to that part and goes down. And then I also have these kind of glitches here. It's like electronic glitches with like a bit crusher on it. So what they actually sound like with a bit crusher. Right? And this is the background of the drop. This should really be up here. I'm not gonna move it. This should really be up here. But down there for some reason. And it's just that shimmery, subtle, sparkling movement in the background that gives more depth to the track. So next we're going to move to the effects. I like to be as organized as I can, so you can see a lot of groups and all the tracks are named. And I usually use the same kind of layout on most tracks, unless for some reason I forgot or got distracted. But all these names and all this stuff is should become pretty familiar because all the songs are gonna have it. So in our effects section, first up, reverse cymbal. So I use a lot of reverse cymbals for my transitions, just to have smoother transitions. So I have a track for that, and then I have a track for impacts, right? And it's funny, these samples are from Vengeance Club Sound sample pack, which is like this super old sample pack. But I've always used those sounds since the beginning of my career, like more than 10 years, because they sound vintagey, they sound 90s, and I like how they sound, and I still use them. So, and what else we got here? Some sweeps, again, very basic 90s sounding sweeps. Doesn't matter what I'm making, I like my effects to sound like this, versus, because they either sound like this, or they sound like really aggressive, like EDM effects, and like, I don't like those. So, get different effects, or different sweeps. Sometimes I'll layer them. Look, here we have a whole sweep drop with the impact, and then it switches into 2 sweeps with a reverse cymbal into another impact. Listen to it. Right? Like, just effects. And I always add that at the end. That's the last step. And it kind of makes the track more cohesive and sound more finished. And down here, we have the reference track for this song. So for most songs, I won't say all, because sometimes it doesn't happen and I'll finish the track without them, but usually I'll even go back and add a reference track for the mixdown. But most tracks have a reference track, which is the track that I used as a target for the mixdown, so I'm not guessing. Like, remember, in music, we're audio engineers, we're engineering. This isn't a guessing game. There's a science and a process to all this, and you don't want to be guessing on the target. Like, why would you do that when you have resources available to you, tools available to you? So what I always do is I find a good reference track that has good texture for like what I'm trying to achieve. And of course, you're probably never going to be able to match it exactly. It's just not possible. You don't have the same samples. You don't have the same desk, the same gear. And even if you did, it would still be impossible. But I just find a good, strong track that sounds good, like similar to what I hope to do. And drop it in there and just listen to it. And like listen to mine. And I did this for hours, obviously, already. I already spent the time to so it sounds good. So this is a finished track, right? This is an unfinished track, but I'm still able to hit and have the same loudness. Not exactly the same, but close. And then it goes into mastering, obviously, and we can improve upon that, right? But yeah, for me, that's very important. Try to find good reference tracks, and a lot of times one reference track will be used as the reference for a lot of tracks. I have probably like 10 different reference tracks, but it's the same tracks almost every time, and it gives me a good target for the mixdowns. Cool. So let's go to the next one. Next track is Giant False Eye, which is the title track. And this track is another oldie. This track, I think I remember this track, I actually played, no, that's the next track. This track, actually, I can't remember, but I think this is around COVID when this started. So, and again, seeing very similar to the track before. We got some drums at the top, and then it goes from there. And same thing. Well, let's listen to the track. So again, similar deal here. I got a channel where I program the drums. Right, this is more of a traditional drum and bass 2-step. Right. These samples, I just pull them from anywhere. On this track, I have a dedicated track for these crashes with Tau Reverb 4, which is this very vintage sounding, vintage sounding reverb, like from 2015, so it's old. It doesn't use very much memory, but it sounds cool. And then we have my snare rolls. You can see some different timings on the notes there. Some are 30 seconds, and some are 16ths and some are 8ths, and it kind of breaks up the snare roll a little bit. And then our percussion loops. So obviously I'm making my own drums, and then I put a percussion loop over it, right? So this what kind of loop is this? Touch some top loop, then like a tribal loop. You see the EQ there. I can do kind of where the snare clap is. I can just it down to the low end. Another one. This one has some kick in it. I remember when I was working on this, I was trying to figure out if that kick was getting in the way or not, and then I cut it, and then the beat was feeling weird, and I was like, no, I want that back, and I added it back. But sometimes having an extra kick like that will mess up the whole song, so be careful. But sometimes that kick adds an extra part to the groove that you want. So, just pay attention closely, listen closely, and see what sounds better for you. Oh, here's a loop So these did not end up getting used. You see that? They're both off. So these are loops that I had in there, and they didn't end up being used. Funny. That happens sometimes. You can see it's just EQs. There's nothing to it. An OTT, a drum bus. Nothing to it. So that's my drums, which sound like this. Then we'll go to the bass next. Looks like another respace. What is this? Bass sick wobble. Where did this come from? Did I make this? Well, I don't know if I made this or not, but you can see it's just a wobble. Basic. What's going on? EQs. Again, this low mid cut. I'm obsessed with that. Then we have compressor. A subtle saturation. And again, the sidechain with the kick. And then here it looks like I had two subs, and I ended up I was probably testing out two different subs and ended up going with this one, which looks like the same preset but probably filtered more. Right, it's just a sub. It's nothing. Yeah, let's see. It's all cut. It's just a low end only, no highs. Compressor, that roar, bass fattener, and two side chains, and then another EQ. So lots of EQs, guys. Always want to free up your headroom in your track as much as you can. And then next we're going to go to the pads. So what pad is this? Like a drone kind of pad. String sample. Looks like we're clipping, but sounds fine. And what is it? EQ out the low end, put a compressor, Tau reverb again. It looks like I was going for vintage sounds, which I'll be going for that a lot. Like in my songs, so it's very vintage influenced. And people have said, "Oh, when was this song made? Oh, this song's from 2024. Damn, it sounds like the 90s. It's on purpose, son." And next sound, bite sound, I called it. This is just a bass sample. with sausage fattener, which is just a saturator overdrive made by Data Link. The same guys that made the Endless Smile utility. EQs and delay. On drum and bass in jungle, you'll notice they put a lot of delays on the bass sounds, and they do that without choking up the whole bass. So I'm thinking they probably separate the bass sound into layers and apply it to the top, or within their delay they filter out the bottom. But either way, that's a very common technique. Like having echoes on the hard sounds on the high end, that's very common. So I do that a lot as well. Then another growly sound. This is an actual Serum preset from Serum 1. So drop that in there, sounded right. 6. And the second part of it, I think it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing, but different notes. And then I put this one down here. It's the same thing as this, but I raised the volume a little bit for like the drop for where you could hear it better.
Do it for a plain, honest, selfish motive. Don't do it in the name of God.
And so next I'll move to the vocals. So this is a sample of Alan Watts. Can't remember where I got that.
And that's a war based on simple, ordinary, everyday human greed.
Since I'm talking about war and how people try to justify war, and then about how sometimes there's nothing left to do with those people but get rid of them because they're going to cause harm, you know. Which is the truth, I think. I agree.
We can blow up whole cities, wipe people out because we are not greedy. We are righteous. That is why the goody-goodies are the thieves of virtue. If you are going to do something evil, do it for a plain, honest, selfish motive. Don't do it in the name of God.
And when I did it, that's just
if you are going to do something evil, do it for a plain, honest, selfish motive.
If you are going to do something evil, do it
for a plain, honest, selfish motive. Don't do it in the name of God.
And then after that is the effects, and real quick, the processing on that is like basically nothing. Again, more EQs, a compressor, delay, and reverb. Nothing special. Effects. So let's go to the effects. Again, I just put a reverb on it. Tactile reverb was the one on this track. So again, here's the reverse cymbals track. And I don't have an impacts track here, but different swoops and impacts. But
don't do it in the name of God. Destructive to religion, to everything that we love and value and reverence.
And these big sweeps are always proceed and end. These big or transitions of the song, I should say. So this sweep, when you see this big sweep, it's because the song's about to change, right?
You have a philosophy that is destructive to religion, to everything that we love and value and reverence, and therefore
those are four. And on this track, the reference track was Public Eye Survey Remix. I love this song. This song is from a label called Flex Out Audio, which is one of the first drum and bass showcases I saw, where I was like, oh my god, this is sick. This is like the type of drum and bass that I like. Just kind of like minimal tech step. I mean, they're actually from the UK. They did a record label showcase in LA, and I was lucky enough to go, and it was sick. And I would say they're probably one of my biggest influences in D&B and the way I sound. If you like listen to their label and then listen to my stuff, it like, oh, it kind of goes together because like they heavily influenced me. And this song was one of those songs that I still be rinsing to this day. I think it's like 10 years old now, but it's also a reference. Right, you hear like those growly movement upper elements, right? Oops.
And therefore, we will.
Obviously not the same loudness, but as you can see again, a target for you to aim at. Let's go to the next one. And funny, I actually have not opened these tracks except for the first one. I have not opened these tracks, so some of these are new to me also. Or not new because I made them, but I haven't looked at this in a long time, so we're looking at these together. Right. So let's see here. So we have drums. Looks like on this one I separated the kick into its own channel, just by cloning all the drums and probably muting everything or cutting everything. And then we have the snare and the hi-hats and such. And then we have the actual break. Right, send them together. Okay, simple EQ, drum bus, and the smiles back. And then what else is going on here? Looks like there's some channels here that have samples, but I got rid of them. They're empty now. Check also like a clap channel. I programmed these claps and put it on a different channel, probably just a little easier at the time. But again, you can see my drums are a combination of samples and my own programming every time. That way it's basically impossible for your drums to sound the same as somebody else, right? And the processing, again, we looked at that simple. And then bass, this has a... Looks like this is actually a exported audio, because I played this on analog at some point. Right, bass, my bouncy bass line. And this song's supposed to be meant to be a little bit more old school D&B. It's not supposed to be like that dark minimal tech step. Not really. Although it does give this a little bit of a spooky vibe. It's supposed to be a more traditional D&B, which I think it gives that with the rhythm. The rhythm's definitely different. And then the helping element, deck at the low end. This is separated into two layers, like a mid layer and a high layer. And these are made in Ableton Analog, which is the stock Ableton synth. Over the years, I've learned that these synths in here are really capable. A lot of the plugins in Ableton are super capable. Look, you see how great that sounds. And you don't have to do anything crazy. Just understand your synthesis and what you're trying to do, and you'll be able to generate the sounds. And then here's like a Ravy stab. make this feel like a scary movie or something. Or maybe like also reminds me of Rock Lobster. Like the bounciness of the beach.
Secure all ship operations.
And then here we go. Perfect. Let's go to the vocals.
Mission control.
So like a female robot voice.
Prepare to terminate.
EQ.
An unidentified object from outer space.
Right. Cool. What's going
Secure
on?
all ship operations.
Oh yeah, replica moving
Mission
up and down.
control.
That.
Prepare to terminate. An unidentified object from outer space.
So, nothing to it. Just my giant space laser. I'm warning you, I'm about to shoot you. You better listen. I don't know what to say. And then last, the effects. I get another reverse symbol channel. Effects 1, 2, 3. It looks like I didn't name all these, but when I start putting a bunch of channels with like 1 or 2, it's because I'm trying to perfectly fine tune the volume, so it sounds exactly right. And it looks like on this track there is no reference track, so I would show you the reference track, but as you can see, there is not one. So all right, let's engage. Next we'll go to check. Check. This is a VIP mix from Hot Time 004. I wanted to remake the track to make it a little bit heavier and more powerful, so that's what we did. And I think this one, there it goes. Okay. And again, same deal. You'll see I programmed my own drums. This is the main beat, obviously. And you can see a simple EQ. I didn't even EQ this one. And then a sample, what is this, a loop? Oh, and this has got 2 kicks. Got my kick and then the kick from this loop, right? And we got an empty channel here. We probably had something before, but I took it off. And then we had some rights. Right? This is meant to be more like a Detroit electro, classic Detroit electro. It's not exactly classic, but a little bit more modernized, but you should be able to hear the influence, right? Then we have another loop. And more loops. What's up with this one? It's muted. I don't know, there's nothing coming out of that one. Then I have this reverb snare. I forgot to turn this down. I'm supposed to turn these down so you can hear me. I'll do that over here. Right these there. Look at the bass. So it looks like I have some low end going on here. by itself. And then we have the main bass, which is just again Ableton analog with the stock synthesizer. What did I use? I used two saws, whatever. Same thing here on the other layer. This one has a little bit more resonance going on. It sounds more sludgy. You put them together, and then you add super low, and that's all of them. And if you separate it into 3 layers like this, it really allows you to sculpt the sound without like drowning anything. And then this one, it's got a ton of automation in the filter. You can hear the sound transforms. Here, right? It's opening up, changing, and it's going to change again right now. Right? And the way the sound changes, the way it evolves, like the timing and everything, that's all programmed. So just remember, when you're producing, you have the ability to do that. I think that's what separates advanced producers from beginners, is knowing that and being able to use automation to be able to create movement while playing the same loop over and over. Like this whole time this loop's been playing, but you can clearly see it. This is a part here that's changing and progressing, and it has movement. It's not static. So you want to master the art of automation if you haven't. Scary on a system. It sounds huge. And here we have just a simple like pad. What was it? Again, Ableton analog. Two saws. Most basic stuff of all time, guys. Then our vocal. This is a vocal that I put into a drum machine. Looks like. Check. Whatever, nothing special there. It's just got reverb. Some EQ. Yeah, it looks like I layered it. Now look. I have one in the middle, and then one pad left, and one pad to the right, and that makes it sound fuller. And of course, the beloved sirens. It's got a siren sample from anywhere on the internet. I got compressors on it, EQ out the lows. Here we go. This is a plugin called Mix Checker Pro. I have Mix Checker Pro, and I also have this other one called Mix Checker Ultra, which is just like the full version of this. But this is a plugin that lets you simulate different sound profiles. So like that siren sounds right now how if it's being played through a 13-inch silver laptop, which is like a MacBook. Right? Let's turn it off real quick so you can hear. Right? And that's meant to actually be a tool for you to test your mix down in different environments, but I've used it as an effect, so it sounds like washed out sirens in the distance or something. And then of course our effects, reverse cymbal channels back, some sweeps, no impacts on this one, but anything that's first at the beginning of a section is an impact. And some impacts down here. And down here, I have a bunch of reference tracks. Let's listen to the reference tracks on this one. So lay it down. Move faster and faster. Step to 1. Wow, I have a lot. basically, I've not made very much electro, so I'm not so familiar with how these mixdowns go. I probably have, out of all the genres, this is the one I have the least experience in. So that's probably why I had so many reference tracks. I was trying to dial it in good, you know. And I think in the end we did a good job. Oh, there's more! Holy shit! Destroy the focus and hyperactive. Right, you can hear that sonically it's close. It's not. This doesn't sound like I'm getting dwarfed by any of these guys, which is that's the goal. And next we will go to the rhythm track. So this is my first rhythm track. I said electro's the least genre I have the least experience with. Well, that's probably true though, because I haven't been to many electro shows, but I've been to plenty of rhythm shows. But I'm not really known for rhythm or 140 or dubstep at all. But I am known for like having multiple genres and being able to do a wide variety of things. So it felt it didn't feel unnatural to make a rhythm track, and I wanted to make one because I wanted to break into this world and slowly learn more about it. You know, over the past 2 years, I actually been going to a couple shows and meeting more DJs and people. Shout out homies at Lex Collective, and yeah. So let's dive into this one. This track is 142 BPM. So now we're leaving drum and bass tempos and going into different areas. Seems to have a limiter on it. Right. So a simple dubstep bass, dubstep drum, I should say. Nothing crazy. See with this hi-hat loop, kind of like a background texture loop, top loop. The processing again, low mid cut, drum bus, my reverb ROM. What's this? Another loop. Kind of like a trappy hi-hat, and then kind of like this synthetic background loop. Gather all of them together. You can kind of hear a little bit of a trap influence, which if you know your stuff, you know 140, grime, dubstep, they're all like right next to trap. They're all kind of like next to each other. It's not that far. Right, so that's a drum. Look at that whipping sample. Let's listen to it real quick. Stay blessed, motherfucker. Got a pad at the beginning, this pad. Just a simple pad, nothing to it. EQ's out, the low end's EQ'd out. And this kind of rhythmic bass here, which I actually wrote this bass on Serum. I think it's gone now, I frozen and flattened it. But this kind of oscillating bass, it's supposed to be like old school dubstep, if you were there. I was there a little bit. And then kind of this electronic stab, which is just again Ableton Serum preset from like Serum 1, whatever, right? If I didn't tell you, you would have never known. And let's look at the actual main the main bass line. So the sub content, this is from a sample pack. Tech House, this is Tech House bass, wow. So from Tech House Legends, a sub, and then the rhythm, the top part from Black Octopus, which appeared earlier, with bass pattern on it, some of the low end content queued out, and kind of like this bit crushed one, right? The bit crusher makes it all crunchy and messed up, and then when you combine all three, and I like this song because there's this one part where I just play the same song over and over and over like forever, and it's just like, wow, if you hear that live you'll be like, wow. I'll show it to you. I just played you the same note like that whole time and you liked it. But I just imagine if we play this live. I play it live a few times, but if you're like hearing this live and you never heard it and you're like you're waiting for a fake out but it just keeps going, you're like, wait. Awesome. But yeah, and then we're gonna go into the effects, which I didn't title these, but reverse cymbals, risers. Right, basic effects, risers, impacts, nothing crazy, guys. The idea is for me when I use effects, is to have smooth transitions. Nothing crazy. So yeah, anybody's ever singer that doesn't know about rhythm, well, he has rhythm songs. There you go. Yeah, Urbanite. Okay, let's go to the next one. This song is called Waste of Chrome. It was a waste of chrome, yes it was. So now we're switching into UKG. So it was drum and bass, touch on some dubstep. Now we're going into UKG stuff. And some electro. Now UKG. Right. So again, simple processing, EQ cut into a drum bus. Here's my drums that I programmed, right? Maybe I like programming drums, you guys. Maybe I actually like it. And with my drums, this one's got a separate kick sample. I pulled a kick loop from a sample pack because it had the pattern that I liked, and I mixed that with these, right? And we got a simple percussion. It came from like MJ Cole sample pack, looks like. Another UK sample pack here, and snare roll. I think I got the filter going here, and also here as well. Right, there we we got the filter drum section. Again, this is just copy and pasted from here. And so I could filter them separately without affecting the main drums and still change the volume how I need. And next we go into those beautiful bass sounds on this track. I think this is a sample. Oh no, it's a serum preset. Look at that. From Moonboy. I think you guys probably seen him on the internet. Moonboy. Joyful preset. Shout out Moonboy. So then there's the top. And then there's like the sub content. I suppose this is the same preset, but on this one I just filtered out the lows, and on this one I kept the lows, and then you just adjust the volumes to fit in your mix, right? Excuse me. And then there's parts of the song where the bass low end is playing by itself, right? Right here the bass line is going, but the high end is gone, right? And I do this technique a lot, where I'll drop stuff out and let the bass and the drums play for a while, because like hopefully it's a cool rhythm. If it's not, why'd you choose it? And then we have like this drop bass, whoa, from Flava D sample pack. Shout out Flava D. So it's just like a kind of like drop it bass. Right, nothing crazy. I just use it for certain parts of the song. Okay, and we also have this growl sound here. How's this sound? How's talking? Just like a one stab. From Black Octopus Charta again. And ROM, you know, nothing to it. If you notice, I like to do a lot of melodies and a lot of parts that have like one or two notes. That's just my style, like minimalistic. I've been doing that for a long time. I can write super complex parts. Some songs have it, but I think my style overall is just that sleek minimalistic sound. People have said that to me with the unprompted, so I would agree. And this is supposed to be like super UKG influenced bass house garage 4x4 bass line, so you recognize some of the samples and some of the styling is very specifically that. So like for example this effect, right? You probably heard that before, right? If you listen to UKG or dubstep, grime, anything, you've heard that for sure, right? So that's just for the drop. Then again, my effects, we got reverse channels, reverse cymbals back, impacts, different effects, different sweeps. You know, I don't go too crazy, but as you see, I use them wherever I think we could have a smoother transition. And in the end, I think it adds a lot to the tracks. And this one also does not have a reference track. I was all saying earlier, like, oh, don't be playing the guessing game, blah blah blah, and then here I am having these tracks with no reference track. Whenever I play a live, people always start taking their phones out. Alright, let's go to the next one. Alright, so the next one is copied my paper. This is about the time this one guy in actual professional business settings straight copied my social media and presented it as his own work. I'm gonna kill this guy. But yeah, let's start with the drums. Again, my own program drums. Looks like on this one I have a separate channel where I made hi-hats. Then we have this loop here. Simple hi-hat loop. Kind of like a break loop. And you gotta watch out. When you do these break loops, you gotta watch out if it has a snare, because that snare could be hitting at the same time as your snare. And if you don't do the volumes right, it'll sound all messed up. So you can layer them easily. It's not really a big deal, to be honest. But just make sure you go back and adjust the volume of your snare if you have one. So here I have one here. It's muted. But they're hitting together, and if I don't do the volumes just right, it's going to sound like piercing and hurting your ear, right? Which we don't want that. Got a snare roll. Ooh. My ears are getting a little tired. Snare roll, right? With the filter opening up. Nothing fancy. My filtered drums, which again is the copy pasted of this, but with a filter and reverb applied to give that dramatic effect for the drop, right? And then I have another that I could use, yeah, section of claps here. What genre is this? More electro? Electro breaks? I don't know. Acid breaks? Breaks? I don't know, but I like this song. I made this, that main, no, this part. I made this with this DJ named DJ House. He's a producer too, with his data dump generator, which is this plugin that spits, you feed it sound and it'll spit out random audio, and this is the audio it came out with, and I was like, oh, I'll make a song out of this, and then I added the acid, right? And real quick, this is just audio, chopped up audio with sausage fatter, some EQ, a limiter to balance the sound, and the acid sound is Tau Noisemaker, which is this free synth from Tau, which is the same people that made that reverb from earlier. And they make a bunch of free tools that sound really great and don't use a lot of CPU. I'm familiar with these tools because in the early days my computer was a lot slower than it is now, so I had to use limited tools, and I found these that don't take a lot of memory, so I got used to them and got familiar with them, and they sound good to this day, so I still use them. And then we have some vocal chops. Looks like I put these into a drum machine. Looks like it's Tony Braxton. Shh. But it's just little chops is really what it is. You can see it doesn't take very much. It takes 2 notes to make a part, to make a section, to make a usable loop. Took me 2 notes, brother. When you're telling me you can't make a part, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And again, remember, in dance music, the parts don't have to be fancy. The parts don't have to be fancy. What they have to do is contribute to the groove. They have to help build up the groove or evolve the groove or change the groove in a way that wants to keep you dancing. They don't have to be fancy. They just have to keep you dancing, right? And next, the effects. Reverse cymbal again. Right, I use that a lot. And my effects, different sweeps, a sweep up with like 3 impacts or 2 impacts and a sweep down. Right, the drop. Oh look, and it looks like this snare is actually audio samples. So I found a drum roll sample that worked, and I chopped it up. It looks like this is more repeated. Cool. Looks like whatever works. You know, you don't have to be set in your ways. If this technique works for this track, use it. And if you don't use it ever again, cool. But worked for you, awesome. You got what you wanted. You got the desired effect. That's the goal, right? Awesome. So that's that track. Catalyst. And now we're going to be entering like the UKG sounding sort of sounds. Wow, this is really simple. Look at this one. There's only a couple of tracks. So here we go. This is like a UKG track. Kind of like deep techy influence. Right? And it's my drum programming. I put like a reverb on some of these tracks on this crash. There's no processing on the actual drum channel. It's all on the group. The drum bus, that EQ. Look how old this is again. That legacy's back. So this is the drums. This is the loop. Right? From MJ Cole. If you don't know who MJ Cole is, if you like drum and bass, or not drum and bass, UKG, definitely should look up MJ Cole. He also makes drum and bass. He also makes house. Like a percussion, kind of like a plucky, ravey percussion. And then my snare roll. And I remember this track when I made it, I was listening to a lot of deep tech house, and I was like, oh, somehow I ended up making this deep tech house with the UK garage drums. And so it's kind of like, this song is kind of a mixture of deep tech house and UKG, which is like, I think is unique. You don't hear that many songs like this. They're kind of more leaning into their own predefined style. But this one ended up being a mixture. And bass. So obviously the low. What is this? Analog with zero processing. See that? And then same thing. No, this is Serum. What? Oh, Serum 2. This is from Serum 2. From their one of their presets, sausage fattener, and EQing out the lows, right? And this is meant to sound like a old school analog square bass, like 90s UKG bass. That's totally on purpose. And then next we have the chords. Which is just this is from a chord rack called Deep House Late Night Chords. I've been using this rack for like more than 10 years. If you listen to anything of mine that has deep sounds in it, there's a high probability that some of those sounds might have come from this collection of racks. So again, here it is again. And you can see some automation on the filter to make it sound kind of like closed and then more open. Here it comes, you'll hear it open up right now, right? Again, it's just automation. Remember, when these sounds are evolving and transforming in the song, a lot of times that's on purpose programmed by the producer. And as a producer, you have a lot of room there to create interest and you know, make the song more dynamic. Right? And then we have a stab. Again, from that same that same chord rack collection. And here I have this effect called filter bank, which is a filter that I've used for a long time, which is just a kind of like this analog style filter that I set the LFO so that the filter will move back and forth on its own, and it sounds really nice, really lush, really pretty. It sounds like this. And that's literally the same note being played over and over, but the movement is created by the filter, by this effect being programmed to move back and forth. So that's an example of having automation that you've not programmed, but you have in the knobs and the timing to just keep going. And then of course our effects. Here's our reverse cymbals, right? And reverse sweep, impact. This track is so simple, and I think this track could kind of be an example of what tracks in the 90s probably look like. For them to finish a track, they had to do it in a computer, but there was nothing like the computers we have now. So I imagine their tracks were a lot more thinned out than ours are. How many tracks is this one? This is 16 tracks, which is like, that's not very much. If you saw the other projects had way more tracks. Right? Keep forgetting to turn it down. And I have one more thing I want to show you on too. Is it off? Okay, it's on. So what I'll do, this is something I've been doing lately on my newer stuff. I'll do like this simulated like volume fader down up thing, and basically it makes it go whoop, the volume go dip, and then rise up real quick before the drop hits, right? See if you can know it. Right? Kind of goes boop, and it hits you with it. It lowers it a little bit and then it hits you with it. And I just do that with a simple utility tool. Zoom in right before the drop and lower the volume, and then raise it real quick as it's dropping. And that gives this, you see I did it into a bunch of the channels. That gives this effect of like a volume fader slap, you know? And I'll do that when I want the drop to have a little bit more impact. A couple of tracks on this album have that. So the drum and bass tracks from earlier definitely have it. If you go listen, they do that. Okay, so we'll go to the next one, Catalyst. No, not Catalyst. What is this? Oh, Obvious Signals. So this is another oldie but goodie. Kind of almost a little bit of a disco influence here with the horns, or with the strings, I should say. And let's dive right in. So here's the drum section. Again, my program drums, as always. Some hats. I separated that to a different channel, but again, still programmed. And then we have our background loop. You can see that sounds very like two-steppy, garagey, all together. We've got a string here. This is just a string chord with some with filter banks back, a little bit of movement, some EQ, chorus, more EQ, delay. So you're just basic effects chain there. This part's the part of me that feels disco-y along with the bass line. Look at the bass line, yeah, it's just an analog 2 squares. Tuned them out just right for it so it could sound like this. Bass bass fattener, compressor EQ, and sidechain with the kick. Super clubby, super dance floor bass line, right? Essential. So if you listen to all my stuff, basically all of it is gonna have a clubby dance floor bass line or movements. And here we're gonna have an M1 come in. Which, like, this sound should be familiar to a lot of you. This is the M1 organ from a Korg synthesizer, I believe. And this song has been used on, or excuse me, this sound's been used on so many songs. You could probably think of I'll let you guys think of where you heard this song before, or this sound, I should say. But an M1. Show me love, right? You got to show me love. That's the sound. It's a preset. And then we kind of have this deep sound here. And again, this is from that same late night deep house chords rack. And I think I have filter bank on here. Yeah, filter bank's back. So all those subtle movements, those subtle like dreamy swirly movements, hear it? That's all filter bank. And if you tune it just right, sounds amazing. And then last are effects here. So it looks like I have some just basic effects. Looks like I put them all on different tracks on this one. Who knows what I was doing. There's a channel here for drop effects, which is just these random sounds. They added another layer to the drop. Right? And I put some delay on it. Basically that one. And we will go to the last one. And so it starts off really hard and then progressively gets softer and softer, and then the end is really soft, right? So the last track is a UKG track, but one of the soft, dreamy, jazzy ones. Right, so again, my program drums, I want this one to be really jazzy, so, you know, it super feels that way. We have some EQs, an overdrive there, compressor, drum bus on everything. Kind of like this clinky top loop. Some percussions that I programmed. Cool. And all together. Then we have some stabs here. This is the first thing that comes in, which is just a sample. Local's back, filter bank's back. Some EQ on the low end mids. I'm using the simple delay there, or the regular Ableton delay. Looks like that's one of the stabs. And then same thing, but I raise it off, change the note. And this is the same thing where different notes will have different loudnesses. So I just put them on 2 tracks and adjust the loudness as needed. And then an organ. And then all of these working together. Lovely, absolutely lovely. And then our bass. This is the high end, and it's Serum preset Subsister. This is a preset that I made. And then the super low Urbanite's basic subway. So I do make my own presets sometimes, I guess. And together, kind of this nice full bass that you can hear on large speakers or not so large speakers. Still has some presence. And then obviously everything together. What's that EQ'd, delay, ROM, reverb, nothing to it. And this used to have a vocal, but I took it off. I'm hearing the vocal in my head right now, but I took it off in the final version, it's gone. Kick, reverse cymbals, less same as all the other tracks. Reverse cymbals, effects, some sweeps. You know, again, wherever you want. Oh, look, the vocals are there. I'm not going to show them to you. But again, wherever you want to have smoother transition, wherever you want the track to feel more natural. Because if it ever feels like you have a sudden change, it's too sudden, feels unnatural to the body, to the dancer. You want to add effects, so you could. That's always an option. You know, maybe it would be too much, maybe not. And pretty much that's it, you guys. I'm not sure who tuned in. I wasn't monitoring the chat or paying any attention to that. I was mostly presenting. But if anyone made it in, much thanks. And of course, likely the archive will be up later for anyone who wants to watch it. Cheers.